22 years. That's how long I've been talking about why Vivint. And I'm a big believer that this is a really special place. And I want to try to shed some light on that in a unique way because I've been thinking about it differently lately. So Todd talked earlier about some really clear why Vivint stuff. And when I think of why Vivint, generally my mind goes there. But just recently, some stuff has happened that's changed the way I've looked at it, and I think both are important. So I'm gonna just blow through this, okay? So why Vivint? Here's some legit reasons. We talked earlier with, Todd showed us some really legit stuff. And when you consider all that information that he showed us, then you can consider the alternatives. So here's some alternatives. The direct sales industry is a circus. It's full of, at best, decent people that are not talented, or maybe even shady people that are talented, but there are people out there that are not providing the experience they should be. And sometimes they even intend to, and they just can't. But this is what's happening in the direct sales industry a lot of the time, is people are getting sold on something and it's not what they expected. We have our biggest competitors. This is their stock. It's really nice to see that we're beating them. Brinks, Braun, actually a good buddy of his, left to be something important over there, and then they went bankrupt, so that was cool. Anyways, I'm not risk adverse. I think we need to understand for ourselves and for those that we're trying to help that we want the risk to be on us, not out of our hands. So I love, Mark Zuckerberg has these 5 principles that he founded Facebook on, and I love them. One of them is the biggest risk is taking no risk. We have to take risk, but I want the risk to be on me and my work ethic and the decisions that I make, not out of my hands. And this is out of my hands. So when I come here, then it's actually in my hands because Vivint is doing a good job with their job. And that's what I've seen for 22 years, and that's why I'm still here. Our stock is way up at an all-time high. We were the best home security company. If you look on the bottom right, 84% of our employees are happy, and the other 16 probably aren't hard workers. The energy, it's raised to a buy when our biggest competitor in one space was just raised to or lowered to a sell. So I like that stuff. This is how much money we've paid to people who sell for us over the last 20 years. For my first 10 years, and that actually doesn't even include my first 2 years, here we paid about $550 million to our sales force. In the last 10 years, if you include the last couple of solar, we paid $1.7 billion to salespeople who work for our company. That's job security. We are recession proof. We've shown that year after year. This company is legit. But let me just tell you where my mind has shifted lately. I think we can kind of go to the data sometimes when we're thinking about why Vivint, but that's actually not the most important thing. So what I want you guys to do is think about the recruit, your favorite recruit right now. Who are you working on? Who is that nephew, brother, girlfriend's brother, someone that you care about different than I just need another recruit? Think about that kid. Who is that? What's his name? What's important to that kid? So I got a call on Sunday from my brother, who actually worked for me about 10, 12 years ago. He's my top rookie. He worked for us for 1 year, said never ever again, went and got his PhD, super happy for him. But now his son, my nephew who's here, he graduated from high school, waiting to do the next thing in his life, and he's like, hey, maybe we should do this. I actually talked to my nephew at my house at a barbecue like a year ago and said, maybe you should do this. And my brother calls me on Sunday and he's like, hey, I want to talk to you about my son and Vivint. Should he do it again? Should we postpone other things? Let's talk about this kid that we care about. And do you think my brother was like, hey, how's Vivint's stock? Like, that's a big part of the decision whether this kid should be doing this or not. Do you guys have a lot of good press lately? How much did you pay your whole sales force last year? Because that's not a part of his decision. So actually, why Vivint, when you come to signing up a business partner, it seems like stats. But when you think about a human that's going to come and work for us, it's actually about the experience. It's not about the stats. So I want to share some of the experiences that people have had. Now, when we look at it this way, we can see that while Todd's presentation matters so much at a company level, when we're thinking about the person that we're going to employ and change their life, that's not within my circle of influence. What's there is the experience I'm going to provide. I asked for some feedback. So media, stock, 20 years of commissions, that's cool, but this matters so much more. I reached out to some people who worked for our company who no longer work for our company. And this is the feedback that I got. What did you get out of Vivint? If I could choose to have my sons go to 4 years of college or 4 years of selling at Vivint, I would send them to Vivint in a heartbeat. That's how valuable the skills that will be learned are there. I feel they'd be better prepared for life, success, marriage, fatherhood, and everything else. And then I love the last line, and it's free. And you make bank, no brainer. The next person, also, I can say the most physically and mentally, spiritually fit I've ever been in my life is summers at Vivint. When you plug yourself into a healthy system, all aspects of your life improve. Skipping ahead, it's tough to achieve that same level without the opportunity, camaraderie, systems, and accountability to push yourself, not just for you, but for your team, and it's all within Vivint. Hey, good to see you, bro. The one thing I got was honestly to teach me that sales and commissions are what create the fastest wealth with young people. You aren't limited to hourly pay. Skipping ahead, I feel like Vivint set up my entire lifestyle just by changing my mindset on how I can earn money. One more. Love this one. Skipping ahead, Vivint provided a system that showed me how to grind and achieve my goals. It taught me to enjoy work. I feel I will be successful in whatever I choose to do. That confidence came from the skills I learned while at Vivint. So, I'm on the phone with my brother. Does this stuff matter to my brother? Should I be sharing that with my brother? Or with this recruit that I'm working on? Or make sure that my organization within this great company is providing that type of a platform? So actually, when it comes to why Vivint, it's the most important thing that we can be doing is saying, why me at Vivint? What am I offering to these reps? Because Vivint is doing their job. Their stock's up. They're kicking butt. They're making good decisions. Thank heaven that we have Josh and Kevin and Connor and Todd and all these other talented people executing like better than they ever have in 22 years. So these things matter. So I want you guys to ask yourself for that rep that we're going to go and work on. Is Vivint right for me? It actually doesn't have much to do with the stock. It's the experience that I'm having right now. Is Vivint right for the person who's sitting across the table from me, or I just watched walk by on my campus, or my recruits have this exposure to so many good people who should be doing this job? Is Vivint right for them? And then the last and most important question is, am I good at convincing people that that is the case? Am I good at that? Because if Vivint's doing their job and this is a legit place, but I'm not good at explaining it, then we're not doing what we're supposed to do, and we're not going to grow our business the way that we should. Couple of questions here. So just to kind of separate in your brain, I actually work with dealers, and I love it. It's an important part of our business, but I don't mentor dealers. I just show them the stats, why they should choose us instead of another product to sell, but I don't get to go work on the person. It's different. The experience matters to a human, though, when I'm working on that person. So really, when we're trying to answer the question, why Vivint, it comes down to this. It's not the stats, it's this. It's the kid in the middle in the recruiting there is one of my favorite guys, and he's the little brother of one of our managers, and that means so much to me. He is standing like at the exact spot at UVU where I went and built my business 20 years ago. And I'll give you a little tip of what I did. I saw someone else do it. I thought it was tacky, and I started doing it to go recruit lights out for like 10 years when I was young. It's this kid, Pablo, who got a freaking Vivint tattoo. He didn't do that because our stock is up. He did it because his team won the cup. And that's like, he wants that for the rest of his life as a reminder that he beat Jeremy Bell in the cup. He beat Jeremy Bell in the cup. That's right. Even though Jeremy tried to audit us for 3 weeks. The audit is still happening. This is my nephew on the bottom left. My brother doesn't care that he came and worked for a company whose stock is up. He cared that he came and he got on a team that won the damn cup. That's so sick. And he feels good about it, and he's proud of himself, and he gets to hoist that thing at our banquet. That's awesome. Bottom picture there is my boy who has sold for Vivint since he was 8 years old and still does, and one of my favorite guys, Holt Dixon. And for my son to go to Mexico and work on his own and donate accounts so that he can go build a house for the Cuevas Torres family alongside with my employees, I mean, that's special. And that really, to me, is why Vivint. So just in closing here, this is where we got to think about ourselves. And all this cool stuff that's been shared with us today. Why Vivint is clear, but why you and why your team at Vivint? Do you differentiate yourself? Because our stock is up. Is your stock up? Are you crushing it right now this year? Or did you party super hard in October and November and you got to go play catch up now? I hate playing catch up. It's so much more fun to just beat people down when you're competing. Get way out in front. One of the tips from a cup-winning team that I learned 10 years ago was you beat them so bad on day one that they just stop competing. That's how you win the cup, and some other stuff. Can you say that about your team? What will you do to be world-class right now? Think of one thing. You're going to do it now, before January 1. You're going to go make a name for yourself. It's going to be so cool that you want a Vivint tat because it's that important to you. Just closing here. This is what I would suggest when you go share this. This is the tacky thing that I saw Jeremy Pixton doing. He was our top earner in like 2005 when you guys were younger. And he would go to UVU and he would sit next to me and he'd bring his 1099 and he would put it on the table. And he'd be like, hey, you want to earn this? I can show you how. Come here. I'll show you how much I made. He made $330,000 that year. And I was like, dude, that's so tacky. I can't believe that. It's like such a douchebag move. But people were just coming over like, hey, bro, come look at this. And I'm like, okay, well, I have to go make a ton of money, and then I got to bring my 1099 to school. That's what I got to do. I want to be on stage, I want pictures, and I want a fat 1099 so I can go grow my business around that. I'm going to create a big old wave, and then I'm going to ride that wave for like 20 years. I didn't know it was going to be 20 years at the time. But this is what I do when I go and recruit on campus now. I was there last week at UVU in my old stomping grounds 20 years later, making students feel awkward probably. I bring the 1099s of the people that are with me, the guys that were recruiting with me. These are their checks. And I'm like, this is that guy. He made $45,000. This is his first year. This is that dude. It was his second year and he had like 2 friends and he made $60,000 and actually he's got more back end coming. This right here on the bottom left is that dude. And he had 3 recruits and he made $180,000. And his manager, who's not here because he moved his family for the job, that's commitment, made $600,000 this year. You can do all of that. You just got to give it time. None of them made that their first week. In fact, when I show this check, the manager who shared that really wants to share that his first check for 2 weeks of work and 2 blitzes was $20 because it takes time. But this is how you share it. This is how you go and convince people to be a part of our family. So just in closing, I want you guys to just think about, Vivint is doing their job. They're world class. We have great support. It's as good as it's ever been. I can tell you it's as good as it's ever been. But what are you doing right now, this month, and before the end of the year to make sure that you are representing yourself and your brand and your family the right way? Let's go freaking have a good 2024. Let's go! Let's go!
You get in my way, I'ma feed you to the monster. I'm normal